Good morning. Grandma Lois here again for a little table talk, and I've got some interesting things to talk about today. Back when my kids when the twins were about 5, 6 years old, what we did on Friday nights in New Albany, Indiana. Today, this verse I have applied to my life, and I'm serious. It says, Proverbs 16:7, when a man's way please the Lord, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. And you know, even little old grandma, during her lifetime, I have had people that didn't like me and were my enemies. But we made peace with them, and they ended up our friends. But it's not always to make peace with all of them. I had one I could not make peace with. But the Bible also says, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. So be careful when you pick on God's children, because you could be in trouble later. Treat them nice. Love one another. That's my message for today. And isn't this blue beautiful? Now, blue is a good color. And this is one of my new scarves I got for $1. And this is what Darlene sent me. And look, isn't that lovely? And so I picked me up another pair of sunglasses, and I'm going to put them on and just have a fine time. Sitting around, chit-chatting, and telling you about what it was like. That would have been about 1958, 59, 60, right in that area. And I was a young mother, and I had 3 little kids. We had not adopted Dennis at that time. It was when Kim was little. But in New Albany, Indiana, let me get my coffee. Have y'all got time to get yours? Go get them. Now, I like these glasses because they match my hair. You know, what you do is my James's secretary came over yesterday, and James bought me a box of sunglasses and things like this for like $2. And she said, oh, I love your glasses that you had on, those cat eye glasses. Well, I said, she can't have them. She said, them look so cute. Well, these are kind of cat eye too. But so I said, well, I tell you what, I won't give you these. She said, well, I like yours because they fit over your real glasses. They're sunglasses and you don't have to switch lenses. So I got the box. I said, get that box out. And so she got it out because I was still sitting here, just finished up my video yesterday. Oh, that green, I love that water. Let's come sit by the river with me this morning. As I drink my coffee, we stopped by McDonald's and got our coffee. It hits the spot. Granny Pat, chit-chat, she has to have her Dr. Pepper. And I have to have my coffee. And I found out that that sweet girl up there in Kentucky Life with Debbie, she drinks Diet Coke. That's what James likes too, but I don't let him have much of it because he can't have caffeine. So I buy him soft drinks without caffeine in them, and he likes them real well. So anyway, where was I? Oh yes. When New Albany was at its height, back when I was a young mother, and my sister lived in this area, and she had little kids, and so her husband and my husband, would babysit the kids on a Friday night, because in New Albany, they kept all the stores open till 9 o'clock. It was so different. The main drag through town and a couple of the outlying streets, and all the stores would stay open. The White House, the Joy Shop, Woolworths. We had a Woolworths. My next door neighbor who gave me such fits over the driveway, who is now my best friend and like a sister to me, she worked at Woolworths. And I used to take my mother-in-law there, and you sat on a stool. It was like a bar, and it was upstairs. And they made hamburgers and shakes. And so Flory, who was my next door neighbor, and I raised her little girl, but they wanted all the driveway and they couldn't have it. It's in the deed that they can't have it. So anyway, I would go up there and I'd take my mother-in-law and we'd shop. But Woolworths was my favorite store also. They had some good deals, I guarantee you. I'm going to have to pitch this thing over there where you can't hear it. My watch is dinging ever so often, and I don't want that on my video. What I want on my video is just y'all and me. And I'm here and just enjoying the ambiance. Yesterday was a fun video, but Friday nights, the husbands would babysit our kids, and me and Phyllis would go downtown, and there would be cars parked all up and down the street. And I had an uncle, Uncle Oscar, who only had one arm. He would bring his wife to town. They lived out in the suburbs, like, and he would bring his pickup truck in town. He would sit in his pickup truck while she shopped and went through all the stores. Me and sis Phyllis would go through all the stores, the Joy Shop. Now that's where I bought my dress to get married in. Daddy, I got married at 16, and so Daddy gave me about $10. It was a $10 bill. He said, here, at the Joy Shop, you could buy a pretty dress for $7, $8. And they were pretty. So I went to the Joy Shop and bought me a dress for $7, and it was navy blue. And that's what I wore the first time I got married. Now, back to shopping. Friday nights, there was all these cars up and down. Some of the men would just sit while the women, it's strange. Have you all ever went to the mall and you see these men sitting around on the pews, if there's a place to sit down, while the women go doing the shopping? That's the way they do it around here. And at the mall I go to, which I don't go to anymore, because I got Myers and I got the Walmart, and that's where I go. Wally World. The prices are good. Aldi's is just out the road. Myers just right over a hill. And Kroger. I got good grocery stores. I got everything right here close to where I am. And then I've got my little studio here. And I like to trip over one of these stupid things that I used to put my iPad on. Caught my toe on it, but I just grabbed it and it made me steady because they stick up so high, you know. So I was okay, but it scares you sometimes, because if you fall when you're as old as I am, it can finish you off right then and there. Goodbye, Charlie. No, it would be goodbye, Grandma Lois. So me and my sis would go downtown and we'd go through all those shops and Woolworths and everything. And then there was a little restaurant just out at kind of out of all the business area, and it was a nice little restaurant, and they made the best hamburgers. So me and Phyllis would go get us a hamburger and a Coke and an order of fries each, because that's all we could afford, and that's what we would have, because she didn't have a lot of money and I didn't either, but our husbands would let us go just enjoy a night out, which you don't get it because we both were stay-at-home moms. And when you're I got a comment from a girl in Ireland, and that found me yesterday on YouTube, and she said, I subscribed. She said, I just enjoyed that so much, because we kind of talked back and forth a little bit. She said, I'm a 33-year-old mother of 2 children here in Ireland, and it just blows your mind that this YouTube, that the internet can reach Ireland and all those places. And I was getting some stuff on TikTok from Pakistan and so many places. India. I don't do too much TikTok. I just don't have time. But I'm going to try to make time, because I've got so many people following me on TikTok. But the one thing about TikTok, they're always asking you for money. Do you want to subscribe to this? Would you help us with our ministry in Pakistan? No, honey, y'all have to make your own way in Pakistan, just like we have to do here. It's the same story. And you know what I found out? When Buddy and I went on the evangelistic field, and he told me, we are going to travel on Love Offering. Now, when you travel on Love Offering, that means you don't charge them. You just whatever the church takes up an offering and gives you. And we had determined to go to little churches, any church that wanted us. And I would send out promotion material and book us, God only knows where. You know, I had addresses, and I'd send my little promo and tell about Buddy and about how he was how he's a gospel singer, because after he got out of country, he sang gospel. And I would book them. I'd call them up on the phone, and you know, I have a high persuasive. When I was out in California. Out in California back in 19 and let's see, when I was about 18, 19 years old, I think it was around 19. It's before the babies were born, before I got pregnant. Buddy was gone on this ship, the USS Montreal, which they have tore up and it's gone. And I went to college. And I've told this before, and you may have heard it, I don't know. Some of y'all are faithful. And like one person said, commenting yesterday, you tell your stories, but one thing about it, you tell it the same both times. Well, I hope so. You know, if you make up a story and it's not true and you're lying, you can't tell it 2 times the same way. But anyhow, they would let you go to college for free. So I signed up. And the first thing they did to find out what classes I should take, they give you this test. And then they tell you what you're going to be good at. So they gave me this test, and they said the results is this. You have a high persuasive. So you need to go into selling and be a seller, because you have high persuasive. So when we went on the evangelistic field, and I would phone them pastors up to talk to them, you give me 5 minutes. Maybe not that long. And I don't know, the Lord just helped me. And they said, yes, we want to book you. You sound very interesting. And now when I talk to people on the phone, like, you know, sometimes you have to call and, you know, I had to get my internet worked on here. I had to get a new modem. And so I call them up, and you get somebody in Timbuktu, God only knows where they're at. Some of them are English, some of them are overseas. The last one I got was really good when I needed a new modem, and now my things I can make my video and it downloads in 3 minutes or 4. It's wonderful. But then I'd had that old modem so long. So I would talk to them, and they'd say, yes, we want to book you. And so, where was telling out in California when I went to college. So that really gave me encouragement. So I said, I'm going to be a real estate lady. When my kids were about, 5 years old or whatever, my eye is itching, excuse me. And then I thought it through. Come to find out, I did not have a GED. To be a real estate agent, you got at least you got to graduate. And I had not. I quit school when I was 16. So I said, well, I got to get a GED. And I did lose track of where I was. But honey, I have had so many interesting experiences in life. I just tell you about something else. I enjoyed going to college out there in California, though. And I did end up in life being persuasive, like with the pastors I would call and stuff like that. So it's worked for me. But I was going to be a real estate lady. Big deal. Whoopee. But they said you got to have a GED. So I went to you go down to high school, and they took, back then, it was a 4-hour thing. 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours. Take all these tests. And it was multiple choice. Now, do you think I know geometry or algebra? A plus B equals AB. That's all I know. I remember that. On algebra. Never did get to geometry. I was going to get that in my junior year. Well, on this test we took, you had to pass an algebra thing and a geometry thing. Now, when it came to vocabulary, zip, 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 I knew all those answers, got them all right. And all the rest of them I got right. And then it came up algebra, and it was multiple choice. I bowed my head quietly, closed my eyes, and prayed, Lord, help me to choose the right answers. on these tests. So I would go down, and it felt like, check this one, check this one, check that one. I passed. It was God. He helped me take it. Because I guess he thought, maybe he thought I was really going to be a real estate lady. But you know how women are. They change their mind. Sometimes just like that. Well, anyway, when I got my GED. I didn't go down. You know what? That GED is still at New Albany High School. I never did go pick it up because I went home and I started thinking it over. If you're a real estate agent, of course, you had to take more training and you could get it. You gotta leave you gotta leave the house, and my kids were like small. I couldn't go be a real estate agent. I said, forget that. I gotta do something else. So I started babysitting, and you can stay home and be a stay-home mother, taking care of other people's children. And I did that for a long time until I bought me a poodle. And I found out they had to be groomed. And I've told you that story that I learned how to groom. So I kind of quit babysitting. And then I was a groomer. And now my granddaughter Melissa is going to be a groomer. She's already got some appointments. She ran it on Facebook. You can run on the internet, you know, what you want to do. And you can get customers. I don't want no more customers. But she said to me, Mama, she said, have you got any blades and stuff you want to get rid of? Now, her mother gave her her big dryer, floor dryer, and all of her stuff. And I said, no, not right now, Melissa. I still got a cat I have to shave down every so often. You know, Big Tom, he's long-haired, and I just put him on my table, and I just shave him down. I showed on one of my videos how I shave cats down, just my cats. I always shaved Bella down because she was long-haired, and she shed everywhere. But I can still shave him down. I says, I'm not quite done with him yet, Melissa. But Kim gave her everything she had, so she's ready, and she's going to do it on her side porch. She's got it all set up. And her first appointment for a big dog. She's going to do big dogs, little dogs, middle-sized dogs. I only did the little ones, but I found when I bought that poodle that they have to be groomed, and that is the law, because if you don't, it turns so bad that you can't even see their skin. So anyhow, on Friday nights down in New Albany, Indiana, every week for several years, Phyllis and I would go downtown, and you just walk through the White House, which was, now the White House was the exclusive store that carried dresses that could run you $23. And back then, believe this or not, I had a 23-inch waist and a 32. I was not that big up here back then. But as I got older, my waist expanded, my hips expanded, and everything expanded. And now I weigh 157. Can't help it. That's life. But I'm 5'2" tall, and James is 6'3". And he told me the other day, I said, what am I going to do with this? He bought something in. And I says, I want to keep it, but I don't know where to put it. And we've got shelves at his house that I cannot reach. I would have to have a step stool or a ladder. He said, just put that on the top shelf. I said, James, you know I can't reach the top shelf unless I climb. So would you mind putting that up there for me? And he put it. But if I want it, I have to get him to get it. Or I'm not climbing. It's too dangerous. I had a brother-in-law who is now gone on. It was Buddy's brother. When we used to come home from the evangelistic field, Buddy's brother, Baird, Armstead, everybody called him Al. Can you believe Armstead is a name? That was his name. No wonder nobody called him Armstead. They called him Al. And his wife's name was Jean. And she used to clean house for me. And I tell you what, she was the best house cleaner you ever met. I tell you what, they had a baby, and they had a little apartment not far from us, and I went to visit her back when Buddy and I were first married. We had an apartment, they had an apartment. So I went to visit her, and her baby, first little child, was here. And her little apartment, she had a table in the living room that, you know, on the side of the chair, and it had a lot of dust in it, and I just wrote on it. Um, I love a Buddy Baird or something like that. I wrote in it. Well, she took that as a great insult, and I was just teenager, still silly because I was probably 17 years old. And from then on, she said, I saw what you did. I know I'm a bad housekeeper. You ain't gonna catch me being a bad housekeeper anymore. I changed that girl's life. That was it. I didn't aim to. I just love Buddy, you know. You know how you used to write things on cars in the dust and wash me and all that kind of stuff? Well, I just wrote it on her a little end table there in the dust. And so years later, she'd come clean house for me every week, and I would pay her because they needed money because they kept having kids. And the one son that they had 6 kids. But I'm going to finish telling you about Armstead, Uncle Al, to my kids in a minute. But she cleaned house for me, and she was wonderful. But as Al got, they weren't Christians. And every time we'd come home off the evangelistic field, the first thing Buddy would do is call his brother because he was trying to win him for the Lord. He did not want to see, because Mama Baird, Buddy's mother, named one of her children Bascal, Bascal, Bascal. Now they called Bascal Bus. And I run into one of Bus's grandchildren at the wishing well the other day, the thrift store right down the road. And she says, I know who you are. I said, well, who are you? She says, I'm so-and-so, Louise's daughter. And that was so she was a granddaughter to Bascal Bus. And he was a preacher. He was a Baptist, Hardshill Baptist preacher. And then she had another son named Roscoe. Well, they called him Ross, which was a lot. And his wife was such a wonderful woman. But now, Bascal's wife's name was Azalee. And she was, oh, I just loved Azalee. And they had one daughter named Louise that lives in this area. And I can talk to her by phone. And I called her up one day, and I have her phone number, and I talked to her. And I told her when I went on YouTube, she said on the phone, I'm not watching that YouTube. She says, it's got bad stuff on it. You don't want to be watching. I said, look, there's good stuff on YouTube, too. You don't watch the bad stuff. You watch the good stuff. No, I ain't ever going to watch it. She said, but now I got a daughter that watches YouTube. So when I was down at the thrift store, it was her daughter and her daughter, which was her granddaughter. And they're the one that said, I know who you are. You're Grandma Lois. You're Aunt Clarine. And I am. So we just hugged and carried on for a while. And I said, well, what about Louise? She says she don't want to, your mom don't want to watch. She says, when she comes to my house, she watches them because I turn it on. They can put me on the big screen. Can you believe that? You never know what's going to happen in this life. I have had such a fun life, and you know what? It's still going on. It's not done, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to run out Kim's house. I bought some panties. Did y'all hear my panty stories? I guess some of you didn't. Well, I needed some panties, and so I kept ordering them from Amazon, and they kept being the wrong size, and I kept sending them back. And I bought one bunch. They said, just keep them. So I've got them, and they're small enough. Kim only weighs 149 pounds. If they don't fit her, they'll fit her granddaughter, and they're brand new. They said, just keep them, because, you know, they were only like $6 or something for 3 or 4 pairs, maybe 5 pairs. You can get them really eat, but I can't seem to get the right size. And I ordered like that 3 or 4 times, and finally I happened to remember, and I did mention this the other day, that I live in one house, and James lives in another one, and I have stuff over at my house, and I stay here during the daytime. I said, seemed like I remember I had some panties in a drawer in there. So I went and looked. I don't have to order any more panties from Amazon. There was 4 pair in there. That's the way it goes. You just can't remember everything. But I mean, it did come to me. I think the Holy Spirit. You know, once you get to be a Christian and love the Lord and serve the Lord, you get the helper. And the helper is the Holy Spirit. He says, I will send as a comforter. And he's a comfort. When Jesus says, I go away, but I'm going to send the comforter, the helper. That I'm paraphrasing. But the Holy Spirit, once you give your heart to the Lord, helps lead, guide, and direct you in the path you need to go. And he helps you remember things you forget. He helps with your guardian angel, which we all have, which kept me from tripping over this stupid thing this morning. And they got legs, that come down like a tripod, and I just caught my toe on it. And I like to went sideways for sure. Anyhow, Kim had, my daughter, she had a mother hen hatch out some little chickens, but now only one of them is surviving. She just told, I'll take that off. She just told us, it comes down on messaging on the top of my iPad, and she had said only one of them little chickens is still living, and they were so cute. But I don't know if the mama hen squished them or what happened. On the farm, anything can happen. Of course, they just got 2 acres. She said she planted cucumbers, and they grew up and they got so tall, and then they turned brown, died. So she just replanted. She said, I guess it wasn't to be. That's life. But my tomato plants are doing great. I think they're going to be blooming pretty soon. She said her tomato plants was already blooming. I got mine out early, and we've had good rain. It's just been doing real great. And I've just had time talking this morning, and I'm thinking about running out to Kim's, which is 18 miles from here. And I had my car washed yesterday. Oh, it looks so pretty. They got this thing, you can run it through for $6. Well, and it just washes it as you sit there, goes back and forth on the top. And I learned how. The first 2 times I went, they had to help me show what to do. But I knew what to do yesterday. So I put my $6 in the thing, pushed what I wanted, pulled my car up, and it started going up, back and forth, back and forth. And that car looks like a new car. And I took it down to get gas put in, and it was $2.86. Special K, Circle K. Circle Ks are all around here. And so you get so much money off if you sign up. So I got a pretty good price on gas yesterday and filled her up. So I'm ready to run. And this Saturday is the thing out at Hardensburg high school reunion. And my brother's coming down, Norman's coming down from Illinois. He's bringing a bunch of his kids with him. And for $15, you have a good meal and you visit with everybody. It's almost like a little family reunion. I enjoy it. Now, June the 30th, we're having a family reunion out at my brother Dennis's house. So if any of y'all want to go, let me know. Bring your own food. That's what you do. Denny will have a lot of food, though. We have a weenie roast. He builds a fire and he has grills, and you bring over what kind of weenies you want, and some buns and mustard and whatever. Some side dishes if you want potato chips or potato salad or whatever. Bring your own plates. He says all that, and then when we get there, which has happened 2 times now, he'll have a stack of plates that high. He'll have all the forks and spoons you need. Him and Pat just end up doing everything you need. That's his wife, Patricia. So we probably won't. I'll take the kind of hot dogs I like. I like the pork weenies. And you roast them, and he's got roasting sticks and everything. And so we're going to have a wonderful, the last 2 years it's been hot. Last Sunday in June. And do you know, the weather would just change off and be beautiful under those big trees. He's got 17 acres out there, and he's got big lakes, big ponds. And my nephew up in New Jersey came, and he fishes. So he just bought his fishing gear and fished the lake while everybody else was visiting. His wife and kids were visiting, but he was over at the lake fishing because that's what he loves to do, and you can fish on private property without a license. So he bought his fishing gear, and that nephew of mine by marriage has got a YouTube channel, and he's on TikTok, and he's an artist, and he gets $400 an hour for doing tattoos. Altar House Tattooing. You can look it up. And people come to him from everywhere. They fly in. And I saw him announce the other day, he has so many hours open whenever. Get your appointment now. And that he is in demand. And now his shop, it started out with just him and his wife as a helper. And now they got help and they got a beautiful office and people working for him. It's a small business, but he's so talented that he is in demand. I'm very proud of him. I really am. And he's got a voice. He's got a voice that, let me show you how he talks. It's been such a good day today. Everything is going good. And I tell you what, he has such a good attitude about life. You love to hear him talk. Maybe I ought to talk like this all the time. I don't think so. But it's just his natural voice. My natural voice is more high-pitched. But he could get an announcing. He could be on the radio. I tell you, and plus he's good looking. Not very tall, but he's sweet. And they got 2 sons. And one of them's graduating high school this year. And I don't know what he's going to do. He said he wanted to work for FedEx or something. But he's not going to go to college. And the other one is handicapped. And so we don't know what he'll end up doing. He's a sweet boy, but what happens, happens. Life goes on. You make do. And they are doing wonderfully well. So I believe I'll shut up and put this up. And I've had fun. You know what? I am so blessed to be 91 years old. Going to be 92 in September. And still getting so many subscribers. I did a thing yesterday, just me and Billie Jean, and I saw he did a live, and I haven't got to see it, but check that out. He did a live show, and you can see it. Just me, Billie Jean, and he had on the cutest hat. So I had forgot to tell y'all about him, but he's looking for more subscribers. All the YouTubers are looking for more subscribers, and a lot of them need to make money. Now, Billie Jean says, I could sure use it. I'll ask him if he says, yes, it does help him because they have to pay deductibles for his mother, and he's a caretaker for his mom. So I said, well, I get some money, and he says, well, I do too. But he said it's just barely enough, to take care of some of the deductibles that they have to pay. And I don't know. He says, I hope I make more money. And that's what Andy, 967, Andy says, I want to retire on my YouTube money. And it just helps them all. And I can take people out to eat on mine, and I don't do it for money. I do it for fun. I did it for fun to start with. I didn't even know you made money. And that is a fact, Jack. I was surprised. But I didn't know how to make money. And I didn't know what you had to do. There's things you have to do. And Kentucky living with Debbie is going to have to learn all that. And because she's getting more subscribers now. It's doing good. And she's my protege. I have encouraged that girl. And it's coming up. But I didn't know that you have to get so many. I think you can read it on Google, how many hours you have to have and how many, and I didn't dream I'd ever. So when I read all that, and I read it, and I said, but I don't know how to do it once I read it. But Andy came and showed me how on my iPad. Well, really, he met us down at the Y. And you got Wi-Fi down at the Y. So he would show me what to tap to get into AdSense and to get Studio and the things that I didn't know anything about. And I was shocked. So I got about $198 coming my next payday. And that's wonderful. I like to go out and eat. And I can treat James once in a while. Isn't that fun? Or I can buy all this stuff I want from Amazon. See this thing here? Look, see this? See this? It's tall. And it's got a face on it. And I can hang my iPad on this. And it can make a table. It adjusts flat. and it makes a table. And the bottom of it is like, let me see if I can get this in here. See, it's a tripod. That's the one I about tripped over. Be careful. But I really like this one. It ran about $25. Now, Chit-Chat Granny Pat probably has one like that. She buys some stuff from Amazon. All us YouTubers have to have stuff. But I love my TV. That I discovered this. Now, just me, Billie Jean, showed me how to do some other stuff on the iPad. But it was, I don't remember it, Billie. Sorry. But I can do this with no problem. And I was so happy when I found out that other YouTubers do this. I don't know who, but and that was inspired by the Holy Spirit to me. I was wanting to change pictures on the wall behind me and have different scenery behind me. And I do want to this summer. I want to go out in my carport. And you know what? I got Tammy, my niece. She lives next door. She cleaned up my breezeway that I had. Well, it's outside my house and it's covered. And she made that look like a living room. And I can go out there and I have stuff. And I can cut it out there in the pretty weather of the morning. And the patio, I've got something that I can set on the patio at James's house and maybe do some out. I don't know about that though over at James's house. I tell you what, I don't have mosquitoes here much. But over at his house, I went out last night. And don't you know, Big Tom was out. And James's little cat, she wants to be out with Big Tom. That's her hero. So she ran out. So there they are. Now they never get off of the property at James's house. Neither one of them. They're here and there and in the grass and under the shed and under the cars and they're within sight. And she just follows Big Tom around wherever he goes. But as I was sitting there keeping them company, reading on my iPad, I got a good book going, I got bit twice by little invisible mosquitoes that you could not see. But I found out, which is a help. I got bit right here and right here on my hand. I had on my long house coat dress, and that comes all the way down to my ankles and covers my feet pretty well. So I didn't get bit on my body or my face. They got my hands. So I went in the house, and it was itching like crazy. I itch sometimes for a week when I get bit by a mosquito. So I went in, and I've got this stuff called Amish Origins that you can order off the internet, get to Walmart, different places. Amish Origins. It's a salve, and it don't burn or hurt or anything. It's good for sore muscles, for numb feet, and I used it sometimes for that. So I just rubbed that on both of those little things where I got bit, and in about an hour or so, I rubbed it again, and you know what? I'm not itching today. Usually I itch for 3 or 4 days, but now, thank you, Lord, that I discovered that because I didn't know that. I didn't know it would help mosquito bites right away. I mean, you know, it got better practically right away. Not right away, but within an hour, when I did it the second time, it was gone. I was a happy woman because usually it swells up and it's real bad. And James, did you know there are people that mosquitoes don't bite? That was amazing to me because I have got and have had 2 other husbands, now number 3, James. Did you know they all have Indian blood and they do not get bit by mosquitoes? James can sit with them swarming around him, swarming around me. Well, they'll dive bomb me. They don't even see him. He's invisible. They don't bite him. They didn't bite Buddy. They didn't bite Floyd. I don't know, unless it was the Indian blood in them, but I don't know. It was a mystery to me, but he don't get bit. He can sit out there. First thing he does is he gets him a soft drink that he has that don't have any caffeine in it, and he'll sit out there and drink his soft drink with Big Tom out there. And now, day before yesterday, his cat, see, those 2 kittens picked who they want. And that his cat wants to be with him wherever he is. And my little one wants to be wherever I am. And I made the mistake of letting them sleep with us. And do you know you cannot move a cover when a cat is on it? When you turn over, You can't pull it. You can't move it. They're so heavy because they're full grown now. So I discovered how they loved the, anyhow, we have that little spare room. I call it well, it's like carport. It's right in between the garage and the house, and that's where I have my refrigerator and freezer. They have discovered that room, and they love it. And if I open the door to go get something out of the freezer, they're right there that fast. So, a few nights ago, they went there right at bedtime, and I just shut the door. I said, James, I think they're going to spend the night out there. They're not coming to bed with me, because she gets up in my face too, and I don't like that either. When a cat is breathing on your face, but she wants to just kiss me right here, I'm not in the mood when I'm sleeping. So I shut the door. So now, day before yesterday, it came their bedtime. We go to bed 8:30 early, get up early. And they both just went to bed out in the breezeway there. I call it breezeway. It's got windows on both sides, and they can get on the refrigerator and look out and watch whatever is going on at night. And up in the windows and look out, because it's windows on both sides. And so so last night, they can hear that door squeak when I've opened that to go get something out of the freezer. And they both will come running to get out there. So last night I said, reckon they're going to go to bed again on their own? Well, they hadn't. So I just went to the kitchen door, which you can get from the kitchen out to this little breezeway. And they heard it squeak, and both of them come racing. And I just stepped out of it and closed the door. And that's where they, see, that way you can't hear them scratching on the door. Because when we tried to just leave them out in the house and sleep wherever they wanted, they just scratched on the door till we let them in. And James would say, you're getting a guilty conscience, aren't you? Sometimes, but I don't, if I can't hear them, it don't bother me. So they slept in their little place last night, and then when we get up, they come out. We put a kitty litter box in there, food and water, so they're fine. And they're happy little girls. That's why we call them the girls. The little girls, and they look just alike, very much alike. And Big Tom and that one have just bonded, and when they go outside, we let them out, and we let her outside more now. She stays wherever Big Tom is. She just follows him around. If he comes in, she comes in. But my little cat, and I call her baby girl, Princess, she don't want to go out like that. She don't like it out there. There's cars out there. She can hear them, and she don't even want to hear them. So she stays in the house. Well, I'm going to shut up. It's been a fun day. Thank you, Lord, for another blessed day. Got to get my shoes on. My feet are done. Go visit that baby daughter. I'll have to check to see. You know how I can check to see if she's home? I don't even have to call her. I've got, she's got cameras out there, and I can look and see if her car is in the driveway, and if her car's not in the driveway, she's not there. I thought about going yesterday, but the car was not in the driveway, so I don't bother to call her that I'm coming. I got some yarn. I found a big box of yarn at the thrift. She's doing, she's got that thing that you make rugs with and stuff. Weaver, some kind of, you can weave with it, and she uses yarn, and they had a box of yarn this big, this deep, for $8. And if they still got it today, I'm gonna buy it for her and take it to her. She can use it, because you got to use yarn, or you can tear up rugs, or quilts, or clothes, old clothes, and use that to weave. So I'm going to go check on it. Talk to you later, alligator. Have a great day. God bless you, love you, and walk that path where Jesus would be pleased with you. Take the hand of the Lord and keep on trucking. Bye-bye.